Yes, we are live now. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the session on what do you call the Azure function with the Java. And trust me, one of the best tools or the best frameworks or else the best frameworks that you can really work on, or else can be any of the features that you can really explore beyond what you can really see it as a feature that is just sitting on a cloud instance or something. And trust me, it's also one of the most strongest and leading serverless component that you can really embed in any of the applications that you can really get in. And coming to my community, Azure Developer Community Bengaluru chapter, and we are all part of the Azure Developer Community India, and there is a new URL for our community, azdev.community. And let me just say a brief insights about what is my community all about. And this community is basically focusing on a lot of open source, Azure, and other topics all as well. And we basically are here to learn, network, and get upskilled in the way that we are thinking as an engineer. Like all our approaches needs to be as a good engineer. So right now, this is what we are doing. And we are a strong community of 7,700 plus. I don't know if we'll surely reach around like 8,000 this week, I think so. And we are in 100 plus cities and one strong community building it. And we are very new to this world of making sure that we also reach out to a lot of people. So do consider subscribing to our channel because virtual world you'll get all the notifications. And coming to the upcoming sessions, I'll be giving a session on 7th on Azure Cognitive Services. Today's session is Azure Functions and Java, and also one more session from the Azure Developer Community Bengaluru chapter, which is building real-time ML pipelines with Azure ML plus ML Run. That is what it is, and also training and deployment of the ML models. Of course, none other than Vivek Raja himself. And also, if you want to join a nearby community, you're most welcome to join. And these are the links where you can join all the communities here. So, yes, so and now there are some partnering communities as well, and where you can really hop in and get this things up and running, where you can also reach out to the other communities where you can be an organizer also. And these are the past events that have been conducted from our community, and likewise a lot of events will be conducted from different organizers from different communities, and also different people are also coming up. And this is the list of community organizers that we have. And this is a speaker bureau where you can join as a speaker. If you are more of an Azure oriented person, hop in, you can join as a speaker. And now let me just stop sharing my screen and just go to the slides. I'm very sorry, there's going to be a little bit of slide work, and later on it will always be in a hands-on session. All right, let me go full screen. So basically, serverless doesn't mean that you are supposed to go complex. It's here as a tool, it's here as an entire infrastructure in order to give you an access in which you are not dealing with complexity of handling server, but you're programming it. You can't really mess around with the programming. You need to program to some extent, and likewise you need to learn what is this technology also. So there are different wrappers for it, there are different frameworks for it, there are other components which come up. So let's just discuss it. And a brief introduction about me: I'm a podcaster and I love talking to all the techies. If you want, you can go to my website, and at the end of my website there's an you can book a slot with me, kind of an calendly. You can go there, book a slot, you can talk with me anything about tech. That's it. And I'm a big bibliophile where I love reading a lot of books, and I love reading a lot of research papers, articles, things like that. And I'm also passionate about computer vision, so I have a huge love for image data sets. And now exploring Azure Cloud, not a perfect guy, but like I love to read documentation. So somehow it is moving ahead. So now let me just come back to all the things that we think of, like what really meant by serverless and not dealing with the complexity of it. So now, when you think of different platforms, like, okay, earlier there was an way in which when you are supposed to host a website or something like that, you are supposed to buy an hardware, you're supposed to maintain it. What if it undergoes a faulty hardware and what you have to do with it and things like that. So there was something called as an on-premises where people used to have much of a complexity where maintaining the servers was a different thing, and everybody had the same purpose. It's all about architecting a solution for your engineering problem statement. What infrastructure as a serverless did, as a service did, is basically it's just dealing with a sort of an function where you are like, okay, you have a set of hardware, you have an OS, the hardware will be maintained by somebody, and you have to maintain this OS and you have to maintain the configurations that you require. And if you scale it up and you utilize that hardware, it was never like that. If your entire hardware infrastructure has been not been utilized, you are also supposed to pay a monthly fee of something of that sort. And pass came in and really solved the problem of, like, it's just like platform as a service where they're just giving you this platform where all the other complexities of this OS and everything has to be maintained by, but only the programming and architecting, the ways in which you have to configure this entire infrastructure for the best optimized result of your application was being done. SaaS is something which is different, where software as a service, you don't go behind any of the complexities of even architecting also. Like, you have the CRM systems, there are other ways in which you can see what is the SaaS all about, where you don't need to really worry about how many people are clicking on click monetization or something. You just have a software, you need to configure it, that's it. And let's not do anything, let's use memes as a service to explain what is this serverless all about. So serverless, you keep using that word, I don't know, I think all of this is just a crazy jargon to me. It's nothing else. You program as it is, and you, as soon as that function gets triggered, as soon as this compute cluster get used up for that task or something, you are going to pay for that. Like, for an example, on your free tier in your Azure, you have 1 million calls, and this 1 million calls is pretty hefty enough in order to just start moving ahead with all your functions, serverless, all the things that you want to do. There are some free tier approaches where you can have all the triggers like HTTP trigger, timer trigger. I can show you that in a real time. Wait, I think I need to stop sharing. I need to go back to my command prompt. I'll share my entire screen. That's, oh god. All right. So let me not blow off this PowerShell. So when you initially go ahead and do something called as func init, oh, sorry, command prompt. So now func new. You can see that there is a blob storage trigger, there is an Azure Cosmos DB trigger, there is an event trigger. That is like when there is an event happening and things like that. Events is a different story, so let's not go too much into it. HTTP is like your triggers that happen on your URL. A very brief intro about it. IoT Hub, of course, IoT Hub has to be included because that's where you are connecting all the edge devices and you are trying to make some decision. And this also gives you an access to the data, so every time there's an data which flows in through your IoT device, there is that. So event hub from IoT hub is also taken, and there are Kafka triggers, there are messaging, queuing, and everything. So it's a kind of a lambda architecture where you can think of, like, there is no serving. There is a serving layer, by the way. There is no serving layer. That is where the Kappa architecture comes into the picture. And your queued storage trigger is something like, I can say, like, I'm typing something on an application, and if I send that message, it has to be triggered. Like, okay, let me say hi. The application has to be programmed in such a way that, hey, somebody sent you a message, hi, and things like that. So this is where the queue storage trigger comes into the picture. And RabbitMQ triggers, of course, it's all about the message queuing and everything. And SendGrid, Azure Service Bus queuing, and Azure Service Bus topic triggers, lot of things. Like timer trigger is something like you are setting that timer in such a way that from 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock, you are supposed to give me as many like 60 triggers as you want, or something like every single day at 12 a.m. there needs to be a trigger of this function. So we'll be only dealing with this, not much of this, so let's not worry about it. Yes, I want to get out. I don't know why that happened. Fine, got it. So where's my slides? So that is what I was telling all about. Like, this is where you try architecting an application without understanding what this complexity of dealing with hardware and the software that you are supposed to be doing. That's the job of the cloud service provider, the CSP. So what if I told you there is no service? It's not like that. What That's all about dealing with no complexity of the serverless. So you don't manage the server. In serverless, you are just going to think of your business propaganda where, okay, I have this many events that are running here. So how to deal with every opportunity of every click that is happening. And I don't want this managing server thing in my head. So just leave that. Just go to serverless. So it's a very bad meme. I know that. Server can't crash if there is no service. Yes, every fault tolerant aspects will be taken care by your cloud service provider. Nobody gives a penny of task of like, okay, what if my entire infrastructure goes down? So there are regions, there are sub regions where you can trigger and say that, okay, all the programs can also run through this also. So I think there are data centers within around like 300 kilometers from each region. So I think probably it might not cause that much amount of latency. So it's not like no code where you're actually not coding. It requires a little bit amount of code. You have to fiddle around with the documentation and everything, but the coding complexity is also not that much. You just have to call a function and everything is being sorted there. So that's what I said. Serverless doesn't mean serverless. Rest assured, serverless is coming. Yes. After all your microservices and the things like that, serverless is the next new big thing. So before we get in, just get to know this one thing. APIs, REST API, hops, stops, Selenium operations per second, server-side scripting, all these things. You need to know because all these concepts are embedded inside everything that I might say today. So there are operations per seconds and things like that. So why serverless is more handy, because you don't really need to understand what is this entire scalability of this. Okay, or else what is this serverless aspects that I need to think about? Like, there is a documentation which is provided by the CSP, and it's feasible to deploy and upgrade software quickly, because most of the time you might think that, okay, there's a Python package that I'm writing and it's now depreciating. I found a new alternative. So what you can do is you can push the same code with GitHub Actions or something, and it will get sorted. Things are that easy here. So the cons of the serverless is testing and debugging becomes very difficult. Why? Because there are some inbuilt functions which are supposed to be built there, and you are not supposed to touch it, and you are not supposed to break it off, or else you are not supposed to comment it, by the way. And if you comment it, probably there is no serverless at all. So probably when you are bound to not that truly amount of flexibility of coding, I think probably this is going to be a con. And serverless computing raises new worries about security, where you know there are other ways in which access tokens has to be given and things like that. What if you just published a website in such a way that all your access codes and everything will be there, and all your IAM access will be out there for the world? So I don't think so this is going to be the best thing that you can do, but this is what it is. and performance may suffer as a result, because most of the time you don't have to think about the complexity of this hardware, but probably if there was a chance where you can optimize the hardware complexity of it, probably you would have had gained much more bigger performance. You don't go behind the performance criteria if you're not in the ML and AI field, but probably if you are more of a person who is in the serverless field, you will think about this. And now, as I told, I love to read a lot of paper. I think this is one of the best research papers that you can think of today, and this will be there in the slides deck, speaker note section. Or else you can still just go and type this 1911 or something. This will still be there. One of the best papers that I heard of today so far, because meanwhile, when you think of all these complexities, all this, everything that you are dealing today, I think probably these papers are going to give you a lot of insights about this technology. And we all have a problems to solve. Like engineering is filled with problem statement. Of course, doctors are also filled with problem statements where engineering is involved. So engineers have a huge part in building the society, building this entire company and their infrastructure and everything. So a comparative review of the microservices and a monolithic, and most of the time, when does an application really qualifies to be called as a microservice or a monolith? This paper gives you the solution for it. And there is another paper where you are thinking of like how to continuously architect with the microservices and the DevOps. So this is a 2019 paper. Probably this is one of the masterpieces that I can say for all the beginners who want to be that enthusiast in terms of the microservices and the DevOps. And data management in the microservices, state of the practice, challenge in the research directions, where you're thinking of like how can I really make use of the data that my customers gives to me and make a decision. And this paper is something which is a masterpiece for all your doubts, all your queries, like how is company making use of it and how are researchers making use of it. Everything is being told here. So saying that, how do you solve a problem? Let me just say I want to go from one country to the other, India to Canada. That's what most people do because it's easy PR, right? So now I want to go from point A to point B, which is a very long distance. And what I do is I plan to buy a plane. And you have to be rich enough for that, not a person who is as me, who is not working and I'm still a student. And probably you have a startup idea in your mind and you want to solve that problem and you want to give it out to the world as quick as possible. I don't think any of the things like buying an infrastructure, building a server in your startup, probably a small space that you have, or things like that, it will never work because every time you are architecting a solution, which is going to make you a lot of money, you're not supposed to shell out too much money, right? And now, how to solve the other thing is like, okay, I can't buy a plane, so let me just go and probably get a private jet for myself. Probably this is not going to be a feasible solution for a person where you are thinking like, okay, I'm going for my entire year, I'll never come back, and what's the big deal with it? And probably you're not going to use everything in the same plane, right? So and now when you look at problem statement, to me I would love to just book a plane. I would never want to just go out somewhere and say that, okay, I'm going to buy a private jet just to go from Bangalore to Delhi. I would just go from train also, right? So now I know this is a lame comparison, but buying a plane is like your infrastructure as a service, or else a VM that you are maintaining it. You are actually ripping parts apart, and you are just making sure that you add a new thing. Upgrading your server is a big chaos. And I think probably if you have heard with some 20-year-old engineer, they would have told that we used to ghost the servers where the application was not running for very long time. It was in a cold room and all these things, right? I think that's what you have to do when you are in IaaS or VM. So there are a lot of other IaaS services. Like you can think of some VM like Azure VM where you're thinking of like, okay, I only have one OS, I have only one file system, how can I upgrade it and things like that. So renting a plane is like you have a plane and you're supposed to be paying a hefty amount. That's like you're just sat inside that plane and you're paying hefty amount of money and things like that. So what serverless is like, it's just an easy thing where you're using the only space and you're just traveling from point A to point B with less money. And what can be achieved by the above two can also be achieved here, right? So this is what it is. So pricing has a lot of issues, man. Some companies have different ways of pricing and infrastructure. Like probably some other provider might be giving at a very high price. Azure might be in a low price, and you know that, right? Free tier is like a kind of a blessing. Like everything is free, and yeah, sometimes when you overdo some things, probably you're going to lose all your credits. But $200 a month, that's fine. Absolutely, you can work with it. Actually, some 14 or 15, I don't know about it. You can check that out. And now, when you come to the language options, there are multiple language options that are available to you. And you can go with the C, C++, Ruby, Java, and every other application that you can think about. Like you can, I just saw today that even F sharp is being supported. It's a .NET project, by the way, so of course it will be supported for sure. And there are a lot of opportunities that you can get. Like if you're a Java developer, you need not have to completely migrate it. You can build your layer in Java and you can start fetching out some more insights about the products, and you can start debugging from there also. And there can be multiple layers built from different folks, but you can just call it as an API. That's for sure. And Java Azure Functions, it's entirely free and open source, so Java is obviously available for all. And first rate interaction with Visual Studio Code and CLI triggers, Python code from variety of sources. Like you can really get to know, okay, you are actually accessing that API from this place, and you can get to know, okay, this much amount of data has been transacted and the things like that. Scaling the cost of the serverless compute and everything is always the same. CI/CD can be easily done because it's still the same old language that you're writing, but no big deal about like configurations and everything. So everything is still a code and things like that. So rich intelligence and easy cloud integration, that's what I also think, because everything is an autofill here. Like this is a readme.md for your this thing, but like if you have time, you can just go and just get that commands done, and everything is an IntelliSense. Like this is actually, these were the pioneers of the IntelliSense, so you can think about autofills, and here it's very good. So I always feel that there is a requirement for .NET applications. That's what I would say. Long-term support will be always there for your 3.1. I think there are other frameworks which are also coming up. You can try with that. And also there are other installations like JDK, Maven package, and everything has to be installed. And you need not have to worry about like what is working or what is not working. As soon as you install this package and as soon as you call that function, everything is sorted. And working with Azure function tools and everything, so function core tools has to be installed. If you want, you can really go on to the Visual Studio Code and you can install that extension. The comment palette will generate everything for you. You need not have to write the comment also today. And lastly, I think probably if you are also willing to work on some more applications, probably install Python and Node.js. I would say start with this, because probably I didn't know Java and I had to sit in for like probably 30 minutes a day. That's what I really spent for from past 20 days to build something. I don't know how many days I was sitting because I had my exams and things like that. Probably, when you're installing on your bare metal and things like that, all your colloquial languages like Python and Node.js has to be installed, and you have to fiddle around with, get to know what this platform that they are providing to you, then go on with your implementation. That would be much more easier in the future also. So lastly, you don't have to think all these serverless and fancy jargons that we are talking today as something which is not existing at all. The init, you just leave this funk. All the init, new, deploy, publish, start, stop, destroy, and everything. I think probably there is a lot of sensation behind like learning that new skill, learning this new tool or something. All the things, all the infrastructure, all the packages, everything has the same old commands like this. So you, if you know some, you can obviously run a new thing, right? But you have to understand what's the underlying complexity behind it and the things like that, and everything will be in your hand. And you need not have to worry about saying that, hey, I've done this, I've done that, what next? Everything still remains the same. So enough of it. These are just some examples. There are hundreds and hundreds of packages, hundreds and hundreds of uh, cloud based platforms which run with the same principles of init, new, start, deploy, publish, destroy. Everything is still the same. And some of these are what you need, and this is what you require, and you can start working with it. And these are some of the cheats that you can really work on and get some things. And let's get coding. And so now in this readme.md file, I'm just going to copy this because it's a very big command and I need not have to take too much stress about it. Fine. So now it's dir. I think, oh, there's already a code which is running. That is fine. Let me just open a new PowerShell. I think it would be great if you can go for the PowerShell. And this is no fancy application. I'll be just showing you some with the browser and a Postman, so you guys can get to know. Okay, this is what is happening. What happened? Sorry, CLS. I need to mkdir new function cd new function. And if I do dir, I should not find anything. There is nothing. What I do is, I'll explain you what is this command. So I have installed a Maven package. So maven.apache. I can show you where it is. Wait, Maven. So you guys can go here, download this. All your versions are there, and for I think for Apple it's a different thing. For your Linux, it's an easy thing. So you guys can go type in that command, you can get it, or else you can download it, sh it, or do something. So this is there. I think JDK has to be shown. JDK. Wait, JDK downloads. Latest and the greatest versions are also available. So just go and get your things. So there's an RPM package. There are other packages like Debian OS. There are other things. Red Hat Package Manager. Sorry, not packet. So what I did was I installed this Maven, and there's an Arch type generate. This is going to give you an example code set, which is going to actually do an HTTP trigger. So the Java version. So there is a Java version of 8. Let's let it not break. Let me just do that itself. So I just press my enter, and it's automatically just generating a new set of code for me. It's generating its own uh, model view controllers and the packages and the things like that. Uh, the POM file, pom.xml file where product check manager POM full form and Maven. There's project, object, model, and things like that. So what I can do is start dot spring dot io. If you guys can go to this, whatever I talk here will still remain the same. If you guys can go here, there is a bare metal code that is available for you guys. And what I say is, whatever you're doing here, the same group ID, the same artifact ID, the same name, the same description, everything still remains the same, and everything will be installed. And whatever you are seeing here will always come here. So what I do is com dot vishwas narayan dot azdev. community, community, done. And now there's an artifact ID. What I did was I just wrote an group ID. Now I'm writing an artifact ID. What you can really think of, like, okay, let's just put it as Vishwas dot cloud demo 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, because I don't know how many times I've written this. So safer side, I just did the same thing. So I would always suggest, like, don't keep the same names for your package name, because I would say, because packages are something different. So now I would never suggest you to do that. If you do that, it still works, but I would just say don't do that, because there are a lot of other artifacts that you have to do. So snapshots, what you have as a snapshot here is still being used here. So there is going to be an entire frame of, like, the file system that will be generated, and that will be snapshot 1.0, and click enter. And what I can say is com.vishwas.easydev India. Easydev India, done. So now let me just explain you what is happening. So now I have given it as group ID. The group ID still remains the same. That is vishwasnarayan.hdev community. Artifact ID is cloud demo 1 2 3 4 5 6, and a snapshot version 1.0. And the package name will be azdev.vishwas.com.vishwas.azdev India. And default it has chosen me a West US thing. And there is a Java function app service plan that was already being done. And now I think I didn't forget to do anything. So now let me just do yes. And there are lot of files which are built. So if you just go here, this will be your entire directory. So right now, if you go here, I would love to say, I think I didn't make any mistake. So artifact ID, package version, and things like that. That's no big deal. You can really go on with it. So let me just do code dot. This is to open your VS Code on this directory. And default, there's a git ignore, which actually says local.settings.json. Just ignore this. Don't do if you are running on the global version of this. And let me just show you the source folder. There's a main folder and there's a function here. See, as I told you, the package name came different, even though I had written the group ID and the artifact ID as a different thing here. So it's no big deal. You can really go on with your whatever that you want to do. So there are function names, and you can really go ahead and you can really get to know, okay, this is what is happening. I think this didn't run for that long time. So you can really think of, like, okay, there is an app name, and this will obviously come for sure. I think probably your package name will never hinder it, and you have a proper working of this entire application. So what you can see is there are some packages in Java from Microsoft, which is for HTTPS method, request message, and there are things. So everything is there in the documentation that I'm giving here. So it's pretty simple. You need not have to go through the complexity of it. Wait a minute, folks. Hiccups. So everything as a file system has come here. So how to deal with your Maven project or your Java project has been told here. So everything still remains the same. So you need not have to worry. So all these status, everything is here, and you can see the code at function name, and it's an HTML example. That will also come in your what is that? Your, what can I say? Your example. So I think I didn't do, I think Funk 11 or something. Hello one. Yes, and this is what I really did last time. And this is what also I'll be doing. So you guys need not have to worry about it. So if I just run it, this is a bare metal code where it's saying you pass, right? So I had done it before. So now this is where the request is being taken, and that request, whatever I wrote in there, will be coming here, and I'll show you what. And when there's no request sent, this is what is being written here. Oh, sorry for that. I'm very sorry. Oh, hey, this is what is being written here, and has told you, okay, you're not passed a request now, so do pass your request. And what I do is now ampersand where you call the name variable. This is what the request is taking in. If you can see, this is the variable here, and this is what I do. Name is equals to Vishwas. Oh, what really happened? Functional over no web page was found. That is an error. What really happened here? Fine. I think I had. Oh, sorry for it, folks. I think I cleared off that HTTP examples and things like that. Probably I might have done that. Else I might have had not yet taken it. So what I did was I post a method and I'd say, okay, this is what you have to do. And to this, I query it in such a way that I name something as Vishwas, and this is what pops up and says that okay, this is what you're calling. And if name is null, this is what happened. Else, this is what happened. And in Java, you are supposed to brace it up, and this is what have they have done, not me. So let's save it. Let's not break it anymore. So I think I need to explain pomel.xml. I think host.json, of course, you guys know how it is, and it still says okay, you are using a function of this version, and there is an extension bundle which has been added here as a function here, and there is a version, things like that, and also localhost settings where you can really go here and select the port and everything. If you have time, just try to do that. If not, don't worry about it, everything is fine here. So you guys can go write up variable called as port, and it will be sorted. And this is what it is, and function.json is explained, and these are the similar things what is happening, and these are the bare metal codes that is actually running behind all the things that you're saying for it. Okay, you pass me a query, http response, and everything is here. And now that we have seen it, so maven clear package, clean package. And now this will also actually run it. So instead of doing this maven test on this folder, it's actually doing everything. It's basically testing, okay, this application is running fine, and this is where the test process starts running, and you can start working around like, okay, this is what you need, and this is what you had mixed in your pomel.xml file. I think I'll need to explain pomel.xml file until it completes the execution. So wait, where is this starter? Fine. If you use a var, of course you're supposed to install a Tomcat server. Tomcat is obviously Tomcat and plugin. This is like your glassfish and everything. So it's like where you are actually okay, they are providing some var file and it's being optimized in such a way it's only go has the dependency of Tomcat plugin and it starts working. This is what it is all about. And now pomel.xml, what I told was this, and function app name will be this one. And when I do is maven Azure Functions deploy, this will come up and say that, hey, this is what happened here and this is what you should be running and things like that. So this will entirely be your function name. Any queries, any questions? No queries, no questions, no problem. Thank you so much, guys, for being here. Fine, this has run. So there's nothing much to say here. Wait, I think Pommel.xml has a lot of insights about your application. So I think I can talk a lot about here. So of course there are dependencies which have been added directly from the Azure people, and where you are actually taking that library version, you are actually manipulating, okay, these are the things which are running and up and going here. So this is where the test and Jupyter and all the things. I think I should actually say over Jupyter, but it takes a lot of time. So it's a Maven plugins. Plugins are being installed, and there are some Azure plugins that are also being installed here. And now it's an OS, which is a runtime of Windows, and you can change it to Linux if you want. You can just go and type in Linux. It starts working. It's not a big thing. Clean package. If you do it, it still gives me a build success. Let's not do too much. Let's just keep Windows. And there's a function extension, values of 3, and there are package called as functions. And Maven Clean plugin, what I did for the Maven Clean has been done here also. So now it was running in enable debugging and logging and more details. Entry step 3 of 8, step 4 configs function.json. Oh, this became built successful, but let's not take too much tension about it. So let me just build it once again. So that was in Linux, but now this is on a Windows host to itself. So it's still the same thing. See, now also the test came in, it's going to pass build successful. So now Azure functions run. So this will be running locally, and globally you have to use a function called as Maven functions, not deploy. Let's do run. So this is going to give you a localized version of that is being mapped to 7071 port, and make sure that you don't run anything on your 7071 port. If you are running a previous function, just kill it, just start running it. This new one. So there's a path variable which is not finding my .NET application. That's what it asked. And I'll show you in two ways. Actually, I'll show you in two ways, and this is what I did even at the last time. So what I have is in bare metal URL where it was provided by the Azure instance. What I do is I query it in such a way that, okay, there was a name variable and it has to pass something like, which was easy div Bengaluru. I'll actually space it, but it will be filled by percentage 20. So this is what happened, and it got filled by percentage 20. Oh, sorry, I can't make this browser up, but I'll try that. Sorry, folks. Sorry. Oh, really took off that thing. Sorry for that. So this is what it is. So when I'm querying it, it's just going to pass me a new variable. So now what I do is I do a method which is equal to post ampersand will say me, okay, this is what variable was, and what it does is it does this, and it's reading it from the URL. It's not like you're just passing it, it's like posting it on somewhere and it's like taking it. So this is what I did. So wish was 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. That's what I did here. So it came in, and you can go to your postman. It takes a little bit of time to open, but like that's okay, fine with it. So now it's the same thing that I did. I am just doing it in the GUI version of the Postman. That's it. And there is also an online version of it. You guys can try that. It still works fine with any of these URLs, but you have to try that. So last time that I did the same function, what I did just to show you what was it, and it's now came in. So I'll do a key value of name. Oh, sorry, name. See, automatically it started giving me, okay, this is what you have to pass. And I telling him which was Narayan. And here it doesn't give you percentage 20 because it knows that you are giving a space, but in the browser it gives percentage 20. Sorry, will it give me body because I have something in my body here. So if I do send once again, it will give me what I had written in the parameters. So if I go to post and I say something in my body and say that 1, 2, 3, which was, I'm not obsessed about me, I'm just writing this. So see that it just gave me the same thing. So if you edit it, if you cut it off and you just take it, and the beauty about it is like even if you do a local execution, that it's really says what is this execution ID, HTTP trigger was called with different sources, different methods, and what is it all about, called via host APIs ID, and everything succeeded. Okay, if it didn't get succeeded, like okay, like let me just say like I don't put it, probably this is going to give me something else. Probably please enter a query, and if I go back here, I executed duration succeeded because there was nothing here, and it did start giving me any of the queries because it's still in the post method now, not posted anything. And actually this should not work. Actually method has to come here, method has to come here, and person name, I don't know how it worked, but it worked. By the way, and you can actually deploy it and you can get your own URL and you can start getting this. So simple command, mvn Azure Functions deploy, and this will scan the project, and it's actually basically it's also knowing that okay, this is a jar file which has been generated and I need to know which jar file to deploy and things like that. Probably we can try something new actually. Hello from, I think probably we can type something here in the functions, start working with it. Hello from Zdev India Vishwas or something like that. Now since I didn't deploy it during that time, oh, well failure. Why? Oh, I changed something. And fine. I'll do deploy once again. It will not change. So don't worry about that. Since it was between the two codes, it will not change anyhow. And it will start giving you that. And it should not break. Why? Oh, I haven't run. Oh, since the jar file not was being generated. Sorry for that. This works, that's fine. Right. It's almost 7:20. So it works. I need to give me this, right? Enter this code, right? Whoa, what really happened here? So run once again, go back here, and I'll say, okay, what is happening to you? Jar 1.0 beta is invalid, transaction dependency, if any, will not be available for debugging and logging and things like that. That's fine. It's actually asking me where is your Maybe this will not run now because I don't have it running locally, neither globally. So it will show me this. What really happened to this? So it's a simple HTTP example. So just keep doing the refresh. Probably it might not work. 7071 is the port, and so on. Any doubts by then? Like, can, think- not doubts, questions. It's core tools found, and it still gives me the same thing. I don't have .NET. Leave that. Fine. Let's just go here and see what's happening. I should not get this. Sorry, folk. Is it running on a different port or something? It's still in the 7071 port, right? My internet slow? Is am I lagging or something, guys? Can you see me? Am I lagging or something? Because I don't think so. I will be lagging. Oh right. Why did it go to Gmail? Oh my god. And let's not executed function succeeded fine. Let's move ahead, deploy it. Whatever was said there was being said here, but like rerun. Not using -x switch to enable full. Oh, sorry for it. I need to write something here. Let's not break it. It's working. Azure functions deploy. I think that it will still give me the same thing if any level. Wait, it's going to happen. Oh, I need to clean the file. Sorry for it, folks. Still running. Went to the test function test. It's for local run. I'm just doing it for making sure everything is fine here. And I don't want to break it once again. I think it got passed, but it was late when it got passed. Or else there is an application here I can really show that also. Fine. So now it's being completed. Core tools found. I built it. We are going to run it. They should not break. Oh, since I had done that Windows and Linux and things. Probably it would have asked for that. Fine, let's not waste time. There is an array. Oh, since I had taken this as an alphanumeric thing, it didn't work. Uh, what I can do is it's still the same thing. What you can do is you can still go ahead, use the same function. Here I've done the same thing, so don't worry about that. What we do is we do the same thing in the Postman. Change that function. You can change that package, but let's not do much of it. So we can do is just keep examples names here. So what I do is parameters name here. I need to pass and Vishwas send. Will just get send, and you go to the body, and your since I had not typed anything, it will default take anything. So I type in Vishwas one. Since it's a post method and it's going to take Vishwas one instead of Vishwas also. So that's it, folks. Thank you so much for being part of this session. And yes, that's it for my side. And hopefully, you guys have learned something. And thank you so much, folks.